This video is sponsored by Masters of Photography, and I would also like to thank the Joel Meyerowitz studio for helping with this video. Photography is a response that has to do with the momentary recognition of things. Suddenly, you're alive. A minute later, there was nothing there. I just watched it evaporate. You look one moment and there's everything, and next moment it's gone. Photography is very philosophical. And the thought of us street photographers was always, how could we absorb and embrace of a moment of existence that would disappear in an instant? And could we really make it live as art? Joel Meyerowitz has always been an observer of life and its little intricate details and idiosyncrasies, an observer of its fleeting beauty and occasional imperfections. And he inherited this capacity from his father, who was a Charlie Chaplin impersonator. And Joel said, "It seemed to me as a kid that his instinct for pointing out things to observe the comedy of the streets was flawless. I think I got my chops from my father's nudging me to say, watch what happens here, and here, and here." Joel first worked as an art director, but he met someone who quickly shook his world and made him fall in love with photography. He met Robert Frank. And while watching Frank working, Joel described this moment as if time had stopped, and his perception of reality and the world around him changed forever. He decided then and there that he too wanted to become a photographer. And a few years later, he would be working as a street photographer in the streets of New York City, developing a particular fondness for the Fifth Avenue. No street in the world has for me the kind of sexy, improvisatory collisions between elegance and lowness. You can see bike messengers and models, billionaires and hustlers, and it's all out there every day, all day. And Joel Meyerowitz is someone for whom I have a tremendous respect for, because not only of his, of course, achievements as an artist, as an accomplished photographer, but also because of his philosophy regarding life and creation. And to me, I found Joel's work probably like 5-6 years ago, and it really changed of how I see things and really inspired me and motivated me, because it taught me so many things. And we're gonna go through some of these things in this video, and we're going to be concentrating mostly on his street photography, because yes, he started as a street photographer, but he ended up doing portrait photography, slowed-paced projects, which we'll see in future videos as well. And one of the first things I learned with him was to be persistent with my work. Yes, be particular with what I do, but nevertheless keep pushing forward, keep putting effort into what I do, and give time to time and discover my identity as an artist. And how beauty comes together, or in front of us. And in this case, from Joel's photography, I've seen like how we can break things into shapes and colors, and we can observe how these come together and how these play and, create like a sort of motion, a sort of energy, power that we need to capture. And really, when I came across Joel's work, it really opened my eyes to the little details of life, however odd or intricate they might be, but how they can come together and how I can take it to another level by kind of like immortalizing it in time. When I look at Joel's work, I see this incredible movement, and it all seems like the image has this internal waltz happening, where things point at each other, complement one another, and really introduce this fascination towards the everyday life. And this is precisely why Joel Meyerowitz's photography is so iconic to me. It's because it elevates everyday events and situations that are often dismissed or taken for granted to a new artistic level. And we'll take a break now to talk about today's sponsor, Masters of Photography. And if you ever thought it would be a good idea to learn more about photography with Joel Meyerowitz, let me tell you about this awesome masterclass available on their website, where you'll have access to 34 lessons with Joel and talk about all things photography related, from finding your style to photographing in a moment. So if you're interested, links will be in the description and you can use the code OPER10 for 10% discount at checkout. And now let's go back to the video. And talking about photographing in a moment, why not try and understand what this actually means? To me, it's a form of abstraction, and according to Joel, it's when the nuance of something touches me, but not knowing why, I reach for it and I'll analyze it later. In the moment, I want to be as alive, connected, and fluid as possible. These are essential states of being for anyone who is trying to understand who they are. And if you ask me, this is a great piece of advice because it's all about abstracting yourself from that analytic nature we all have and that wanting to understand what is happening in front of us. Sometimes it's just, it's just about like taking that photo and then just sort it out later, pretty much, and let our instinct guide us. It's not about trying to understand why two people are hugging or why are they kissing, but more about like two hands are coming together and there's like 3 different things happening that, really highlights those people shaking their hands or kissing or whatever it is that they're doing. And it can be also like colors, like someone is wearing red and someone's wearing green. The way those colors are complementing each other, it is interesting. And so taking Joel's example, it's really important to record the world, to record how we see it and our visions of the world. Because our visions, however they might, come up with, as in terms of final format, it can be a photo, a painting, an illustration, a poem. They represent a sort of way of connecting. They're kind of like a bridge. And they're a bridge in the sense that they show how we connect with the world, they show how we see the world, and vice versa, they show how the world connects with us. And I feel that, again, we should never hesitate into firing that shutter, into writing that poem, into doing whatever it is that we're doing with whatever media we choose to do it, because it's only essential for our growth as, artists, as creators, as someone who is an enthusiast about something, about someone. I feel that it's only great to not fall into doubt and just do it, especially if you're like me and you shoot film. We both know that shooting with film, it's kind of like opening a box full of surprises. And talking about surprises, the next surprising thing I learned from Joel's art is to never stop questioning myself and use my self-doubt to my own advantage. What I mean by this is that, of course, all of us experience self-doubt, not only in general terms, but while we're working or creating something with our photography. Is this subject really worth it? Well, why don't I take a few more and I'll figure that out later? Is this format really for me? Why don't I try it from all possible angles and find out about it? Is that scene really visually appealing? Well, how can I make it appealing? And how can I extend myself and touch that scene? And as abstract as this may sound, taking your self-doubt and using it to your advantage is not silly. It's a form or a way of finding your style and how you connect with the world and your identity as an artist. With that being said, I hope that you enjoyed today's video, that it was helpful in any way, that you learned a little bit more of like thinking outside of the box and pushing yourself, but not being, damaging to yourself. Give yourself some patience and time and keep putting that effort into finding out who you are, into working in your photography, however it is that you do it, as an enthusiast, as a professional, as a, someone in between. Just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll figure out things about yourself, personally or professionally, And I think that overall it'll be extremely rewarding. And so yes, I would urge you to find out more about Joel. The links will be in the description for his studio, for his work, and also for the masterclass. So if that is something that is interesting to you, check it out in the description. And with that being said, I guess that it's been all for today. So let me just go and say I'll see you here for another video very soon. Stay safe, keep shooting film. Peace.
You've probably asked yourself, what am I going to get for this course? What am I taking this course for? I think you're going to get a lot out of it because it's about finding your identity as an artist and as a human being who is interested in the world around you.